Hi, how's it going? I'm Phil, and I'm a bass player, as you could probably tell. Teacher, educator, touring musician, uh, and I wanted to actually talk to you guys today about why you should read music. Just to give you some background, when I started out, I was 12 years old, and I started out on guitar. And I took lessons for about a year, and my music teacher tried to push me toward learning scales and learning how to read music. And I resisted all the way. Every single lesson, I just wanted to learn songs. I wanted to learn. I was obsessed with Randy Rhoads, and I wanted to play Ozzy tunes. That was about it. And so I wasn't interested, and so I stopped lessons after about a year, and I just started learning on my own when I learned how to read tab. And then in high school, I became more of a bass player, and then I've stuck with it pretty consistently ever since. Although I still play guitar and I play other things like piano and drums. Uh, so I understand the argument of why music reading isn't for me, and I'm not really interested in it. Over the years, working in music and developing my musicianship, I've changed it, of course, towards everybody who calls himself a musician should read music, unless they're blind, of course, like Ray Charles. But let's talk about the top five arguments slash myths about reading music, and I'm going to counterpoint them. Number one, reading music is hard. Sort of a valid argument. For some people, speaking Spanish is hard. But if you approach it the same way, it's a language and in the written form. Now, you can hear your way through if you visit Mexico and you stay there for a few days. You might pick up a couple of terms, donde está el baño, stuff, the equivalency of that. But it's the same thing kind of when you're hearing chords. But there's a whole written part of it that is important for really understanding it. So if you approach it like a language, and it's actually a really basic language. It's lines and spaces. Like, for instance, this example I just played seems like it would be hard to read. But if you put the staff down and the four sharps in the key of E major, it's E major 7, which is line, 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 down F sharp minor 7, space, 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 line, 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 line for the G sharp minor 7, A major 7 is space, 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 B7, or dominant 7. That would be line, 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 down, C sharp minor, 7th, D sharp half diminished, or minor 7 flat 5, and then down E major 7 again. It'd actually be pretty simple to read. You would have to know some basics. You'd have to know how the lines and spaces work, and a qualified teacher could probably show you that. And it would only serve to help you. There's a whole rich history of music and and written notation that you're kind of cutting yourself off from. Take, for instance, this book, Standing in the Shadows of Motown. Most people agree this is a great bass book. And within it, you see all these classic Motown's James Jamerson lines, and not one hint of tab. It's all written out. So you can't have this if you're not going to read music. Like you're not allowed to. You could probably listen to it and try to get your way around that way, but it seems kind of tough to do it that way. Yes, music is a oral art form. It's something that you're supposed to hear, and no one's going to tell you that you shouldn't play by ear. See, there's the whole argument of I don't read music, I play by ear. Like, the people that can read music don't use their ears. Like, I'm just a robot and I can't hear anything, but I just read what's in front of me. I don't think that player really exists. Everybody uses their ear, but some of them have the advantage of having other ways of approaching music. So if you approach music like a language, it's the equivalent of having like a traveling salesman from the 1800s who had the gift of gab, Like they could have eloquent, and really they were masters of the language, but they couldn't read the written word. And if you think about it, a lot of players approach music that way. Like they understand it, they can hear it, and they have incredible gifts. But reading a sentence is incredibly hard for them. So if you approach music like an art, you're missing that whole element. There's a second argument. Tab is all I need. And you can put a lot of blame on Guitar World magazine and lots of magazines and websites about popularizing tab. Tab is a great way for young beginners to kind of learn music, but it fails you in two regards. Notation of rhythm, where you can't really articulate the rhythm, so you would have to hear it first and then apply it to what those numbers on the strings mean. And so that's a shame because you have a bunch of guitar players that know how to play Crazy Train, but don't know what eighth notes are, or even the concept of subdivision. That's something that they'd rather get to the song first. I was from that aspect, and let me tell you, as a teacher, it's kind of annoying not knowing, having your kids not know what eighth notes are. It also allows people to get to the point where they're playing songs without knowing the notes on their neck. Now, I'm not saying that you don't know your neck, but it's really efficient to learn music reading, then lead to learning your notes on your neck, because you can have a guitarist in a garage somewhere yelling, "This is G and this is D," and learn it that way. But that's I think kind of a lame way to learn when you're getting reprimanded. So in the heat of battle. So 100% of the kids that I teach that know how to read know their neck. It's like you can't avoid it. So it's one of those things that I think you could really benefit from, is just learning how to read. That will really teach you your neck. And with some kids that are poor readers, I'll ask them to play C sharp. They'll be like A sharp, B. This is C. Okay, that's C. And then C sharp. That doesn't happen with readers. They just go C sharp octaves. Right? And so too many people that rely on tabs, don't know the basic things like playing E flat on the neck. Here E, you can't do here E flat. So that kind of is another point. My favorite argument is the McCartney argument. Paul McCartney was this great player and great musician, and he didn't know how to read. I love that argument because I always say that if you are talented as him, if you can write songs and sing and play bass like him, congratulations. You're going to make it if you haven't made it soon, and I can't wait to hear your album. If you are like most mortals, you need every leg up and advantage that you can. Let's take another player like B.B. King, who can say more in 3 notes than other players can say in a million. One of his life's biggest regrets is that he can't do more. If you sat down and talked with him, he'd tell you this, that he can't expand into other genres and do other things. So it's limiting yourself, really, and it's purposefully limiting yourself. My friend Lewis used to say that it's being deliberately indifferent or stupid on purpose. So there's that to think about. 4, learning is inefficient and backtracking. Here's the thing. If you actually sat down and learned how to read, you'd find yourself doing things more efficiently. Reading leads very easily into intervals, scales, triads, harmony, things we agree we should be conscientious of. So I wish I would have started learning how to read earlier, because you can say that you can get to New York to LA by way of Canada, but it's not nearly as efficient. It takes a hell of a lot longer. And 5, you become a rigid robot. And that's probably the most fabricated thing I've heard from non-readers, because I don't know where that stems from, but that's a stylistic thing, and it has nothing to do with your actual playing. I'm going to talk more about this on another video, but thanks for listening.